Hey, my name is PolishLynx and welcome to Narcissu Sumire. We've been through Akari's story already, we've finished it in the previous one, and today, well, basically we are moving what I assume is the main point of this game. So Sumire's story, chapter 1, the two lost ones. Let's go.
次、そこ、左に曲がって。どこ行き過ぎちゃった。また？あんた早めに行ってよ。私のせい？そうよ。こっちとらペーパーなんだから、早めにナビしてよね。最初に道、間違えたのはそっちのくせに。
Inside the cramped car, she was holding a wheel. I was sitting next to her, navigating with a map opened wide. It had already been about 4 hours since we'd left home, but we're still far from our destination.
ねえ、一旦引き返さない？道のわかるとこまで。今さら？次で左に曲がれば大丈夫よ。さっきもそんなこと言って迷子になったくせに。
You can't get lost if you are lost, right?
あんただって同意したじゃん。それはそうだけど。そもそもさ、あんたが変なとこ行きたいって言い出したからでしょ？このバカ女。誰がバカ女よ。こっちこそバカ女でしょ。って、もう、ここ一体どこよ
？Yeah.
私の名前は、高坂すみれ。
I was saying it properly for the whole time after all. Yes!
高い坂と書いて、高坂と読む。22歳、女性。
Alright.
自分としては、どこにでもいる普通の女の子のつもりだった。でも、気づけば、10年も引きこもりを続けていた。どうやら、世間一般では、これはあまり普通ではないそうだ。
Unfortunately. Well, can't say I would judge someone for that. Why shut in for 10 years?
その質問に対する答えは難しい。いつの間にか、としか言えない。それでも、引きこもりをうまく例えるならば、迷子になってしまった。この言葉かもしれない。どうやら私は、最初の交差点を、間違った方角に曲がったらしい。右に行くべきところを左に、左に行くべきところを右に。でも、この時点では、まだ見知った場所。間違いに気づき、すぐに引き返すこともできただろう。なのに、そのまま、軽はずみに進んでしまう。やがて、ふとあたりを見渡すと、そこは見知らぬ場所。もう、自分の見知った場所ではない。帰り道もわからない。前にも進めず、戻ることもできず、ただ、その場で立ち尽くすだけ。そう、その場で10年、立ち尽くしていただけ。ナルキッソス、すみれ。
10 years ago, Sumire.
早く、大人になりたい。
Those were the words I wrote in my grade school graduation album. But that wasn't because I had some goal I wanted to accomplish as an adult. At best, I would think that if I were grown up, I could play video games as much as I wanted. I wish it were true. When I was in grade school, the rule was that I could play video games for 2 hours per day. My big brother would often give me games that he was done playing, but I didn't have the time. Personality-wise, I was somewhat timid, and I wasn't particularly active. To put it simply, I was plain but normal.
そう。普通。今はこんなだけど、もうすぐ中学生になるんだし。
Those were my vague thoughts. I looked forward to what was to come. At that time anyway. I entered middle school and met everyone for the first time. We were classmates who still didn't know each other's names. I was excited as to what kind of future would come. And then 2 weeks passed. It was around that time when the light pink cherry trees were turning green. I suddenly realized something.
あれ？いつの間に？
It was lunch period at school. I was eating my school lunch alone. But when I looked around, I saw that my classmates had pulled their desks together and were eating happily. Of course, not everyone was doing that. There was a boy who, just like myself, was chewing on his food alone. So at first I didn't really give much thought to it. They're so quick, they've already made friends. That's what I vaguely thought. I didn't think too much about it. I figured I would eventually make friends too. While feeling a strangeness somewhere, as I watched girls happily talking, out of the corner of my eye I continued eating alone. About 2 months later, it was time for our third seat change. Great, we're staying next to each other this time. Look, my Tsunaka-san is near me too, I'm so happy! There were girls who ended up sitting near each other and were enjoyed about their new seats. There were others in the class saying similar things. There are those who seemed sad because they were separated from people they had become close to. And amongst all that, I was sitting alone in my seat. I knew the names of those around me, but they were classmates I had never spoken to before. Each of them were talking excitedly with people they were friends with. Oh, I see, at some point they became friends. I'd simply failed to notice groups of like-minded people had already formed. Apparently I had been mistaken. I had thought that just by my being present, friendships and close relationships would just form by themselves. I had never thought that much about it before. I vaguely had thought that. So that's how it is. I need to initiate conversation. I understood that in my head but couldn't bring up the will to. We're still only 2 months in. There was no need to rush. Okay, so basically she's not fast to get used to new people and so on. I have had to really, I need some time to adapt really to the place. Problematic? Yes. Eventually I'll make some like-minded friends. There's no need to force myself to make friends. At that time, the feeling of strangeness grew. I had this feeling that my way of thinking was somehow wrong, but I pushed that sense of oddness away. I need to hurry home and finish my game. That's what I thought about instead.
私は心のどこかで怖かったのかもしれない。
If I approached on my own, I didn't know what to do if I were rejected then. Smiling and talking, joining conversation about popular TV dramas, spending the weekend with people I didn't even like. But even then, just the thought of people saying she's annoying, that made me afraid to approach anyone. It could have been that I was looking down on everyone around me. Of course, I had no reason to believe I was smarter. In actuality, I was dumber. I had no reason to believe, but that's what I thought. I don't know why. June, when winter uniforms were exchanged for summer ones. The sunlight was still weak, and it was cool at sunrise and sunset. Before I knew it, I was completely isolated in the class. If isolated is a strong word, then I might say instead that I was alone. always alone. However, even though I spent time alone, I was never bullied or made fun of. It was simply because I never talked to anyone. At some point, no one ever talked to me. It just happened naturally. From when I arrived at school in the morning to when I returned, there were days I never spoke at all. But you know what? I remember in high school actually there was something about me. Actually, when parents go and talk with teachers and so on around, right? So basically one of the teachers said something if I have friends at all, because I wasn't talking with other people during classes. Come on, during classes, well, not really, taking notes and so on, right? But I wasn't really that much of a talker. But in primary school, I was actually. I guess something changed after some time as well. My personality changed and so on, but yeah. So basically high school I wasn't much of a talker for sure, but alright, it was just my dog moving around. Weird noises and so on. What was I doing? Oh yeah, not much of a talker in high school and so on. But, well, basically I lost my thought now. God damn it. So yeah, basically the teacher was concerned, kind of, if I have any friends at all. But yeah, I did have. Surprise! Somehow. Anywho. Go back to the story. Because that's the important part here. When I also ignored people saying good morning, they even stopped greeting me. You know what? I wouldn't. Now for the first time I felt a negative emotion. It was what a bother, or perhaps how annoying. There was no malice in it, it was just honestly how I felt. But the truth was, I was just shy and unable to initiate conversation. I understand that. I'm not good at that at all. Am I the only one actually when talking with some people? Well, with some people I have that flow basically and can somehow continue, but with some people I have that, oh my god, what am I supposed to speak with you about? Seriously, we have completely nothing in common and so on. But yeah, like, with me it's more like I have a limited circle of people that I'm capable of talking with, something like that.
無理に友達を作る必要はない。いつか自分に合った親友が生まれるはず。
Yeah, something like that, I guess. As usual, with absolute no evidence or reason to believe, so I used that excuse and avoided the problem. I mean, somehow I was on good terms with most people, if not all, but it's not like I was great friends with them, right? Just your short conversation thing. But the actual conversations that could go on with really small circle of people. Anyway, and I'm not good at talking in groups really, no. I'm quiet and so on, if that happens. Anyway, gradually I started not going to school. I did not, I kept going, don't worry. At first I stopped going on Tuesdays, because the first period on Tuesdays was physical education. Next I stopped going on Thursdays. That was because there was a popular TV drama on the night before and the class would get all excited talking about it. The final straw came when I arrived at school on one Monday. I happened to have been out the Friday before and was coming back after that long break. After a 4-day break from school, my feet felt leaden as I walked toward it. I walked there, full of unease, thinking that people would definitely say something after such a long absence. Eventually I arrived at the crosswalk, where you could see the school. Looking around, I could see a number of girls from class waiting for the light. Without knowing why, I hid in the shadow of a building. I didn't know the reason. It was reflex. Hey, did you watch TV yesterday? Was it interesting? Really? You didn't see it, so do not clap wrong long. I recorded this already to you. Alright, we're swimming in P next week. I'm looking forward to that. They all talked excitedly as they waited for the light. I watched their happy figures while I hid. It didn't even occur to me to go and talk to them. I guess I hadn't wanted to face them. I might have even been aware of it myself, that getting excused from school constantly wasn't a good thing.
おそらくここが最初の曲がり角だったのだろう。
If I had given them an energy good morning, then I might not have lost my way. Well, just normal good morning would be okay, I guess. Eventually the light changed and my classmates crossed noisily. Meanwhile, in contrast to them, I turned around and returned home. This was my final memory related to school. I had nothing else. I had stopped going to school. At first there wasn't anything to do, and I just sat in my room in a daze. I simply disliked going to school. Otherwise, I just wanted to play video games a little bit more. Of course, my family couldn't forgive that. But since it was just 1 month before summer vacation, they didn't insist on me going either. If anything, they really started harping on it when the new semester started in September. Especially my mom, who tried to convince me every day to go back to school. Twice a day, morning and night. School isn't just a place for studying, it's also a place to make friends and get used to living in groups. It was time for getting prepared to go out in society. Into the society in the future. It was your one chance to make some precious memories. That's what she said. Guess that might be true actually. Well.
おそらくそのどれもが正しい言葉なのだろう。
No matter what you think, there are some regrets about the past for sure. You did or did nothing. Wait, you did or did not do something. Oh, that is the correct statement here. Alright, however, they didn't resonate in my heart. To be honest, it was easier to stay in my room and play games. Eventually, the teacher from school started coming, as well as some adults called counselors. Everyone said things similar to mom, and they all nagged me, asking if I had any problems. So I answered them, with my plain, honest feelings. I had nothing bothering me. When I did that, the constant nagging teachers and the like eventually stopped coming. According to them, not having a problem is the problem. Essentially, kids who literally refuse to go to school had some kind of issue, and that issue is why they won't go. Poor academic performance, bullying, family problems. There apparently were many. Normally, when the issue is resolved, they go back to school again. And it was these people's job to lend a hand. Cases like mine, where there weren't any fundamental causes, they apparently just give up on. Well, because they are not good enough, I guess. For my part, I had thought I was normal. But if good kids apparently don't refuse to go to school and they don't become shut-ins, then maybe I'm a bad kid. Hey, sweetheart, want to try doing some sports? My homeroom teacher spoke to me, smiling cheerfully. She, unlike the rest, hung on until the bitter end. When you're better around, it's good for your health and beauty, you know. Why don't we do it together? She was still young, in her 20s. Apparently, she was the advisor for the volleyball club, and every once in a while she'd come and invite me to join in. You don't have to go to class, even if you just came by after school to play with the club. How about it? Why don't we start by just going outside? Even now, she continued to smile and talk to me. She probably meant no harm. I think she truly believed her suggestion was for the best. However, to me, it was nothing but pain.
いい。めんどくさいし。
I gave no more than that scared answer. Sorry, but those were my true feelings. I see, that's a shame. Then is there something you want to do? If it's something I can do, I'll help.
じゃあ、もうここに来ないでほしい。
Okay, that's the moment you can give up on her. My teacher fell silent at my words, and it seemed she finally understood or gave up, and made to leave the room. Am I the only one that would feel motivated to freaking continue this? You're not normal, you're a bit strange, you know? The final word she spat out as she left. Wow. 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 She didn't even use my name, she just called me you, and she wasn't smiling. At that time, I thought, apparently for her, the way she saw me had
同情から楽園へと変わったのだろう。
well, if it were me, I wouldn't give up there. Eventually, winter drew to a close and spring started catching up. At some point, my family didn't nag as much. Mom would scold me a bit on occasion, but Dad seemed to be becoming more open-minded. You're cute, so you'll be fine. Once try going to cooking school? Guess should learn to do housework after all. He would say that often, wearing a somewhat stiff smile. An indirect way of saying I wouldn't need school if I got myself married off. I think that nuance was mixed in there. My one sibling was a much older big brother. Since I was the younger child, Dad probably thought that all the more. That's why I'd help out with just the housework once in a while. If I just did that, my parents wouldn't nag. Damn cicadas! Afterwards, summer came again. Looking back, it's been 2 years since I stopped going to school. My former classmates had apparently become high schoolers. Meeting them out and about was awkward. I'd end up perfectly hiding. I'm sure I was feeling guilty. And also, I would soon become 16. In one sense, I could be considered a member of society. Of course, I hadn't advanced to high school, nor was I employed anywhere. But apparently out in the rest of the world, being a shut-in could be considered helping out around the house. It was probably only considered that because I'm a girl. It could be that there were many people like me out there. Yeah. And by this time, I was spending most of my days playing games. I didn't like video games all that much. I didn't say that, but there was no shortage of them. As always, my big brother would give me his old ones, and I was no longer limited to 2 hours. 2 hours a day. More than anything else, there was nothing else to do, and it was boring. I was just burning up time wastefully.
でも、何もする気にならない。とは。
Whoops. Oh, I can't come back. Sorry. I think I was waiting. Wait, what did she say? But it was exactly that I didn't care to do anything, okay? I think I was waiting for time to come.
今はこんな感じだけど、その何かとまだ出会っていないだけ。
I didn't know exactly what I was waiting for, but at some point this had become an established point in my mind. One day I would also. Right now I'm just in temporary form. The one just idly playing games like this wasn't the real me. So that's why a bright future was. Someday my true self would appear. I thought that vaguely, with no real proof or reason to believe. And next year, it was a very clear spring day. As always, I was coped up, but there was one small change in me. That day my body felt heavy and I had a fever of 37.7 Celsius degrees. 1.1 over the normal. I wasn't suffering particular, but my worried parents took me to the hospital. I've never had a reason to be in a hospital before, so the wait was very boring. I know this corridor. Eventually, after a long X-ray exam, it was declared that I was sick. You don't say. I had been coughing a bit and I thought it was just a cold, but apparently it wasn't. I didn't know the details. It was because they wouldn't tell me the name of the disease. Why wouldn't they? I looked at my dad's fat face and understood that it wasn't a good one. I was told that I needed to go to the hospital once a week from now on. So it is... It is the one we are thinking about. It is the Narcissu one. Right? On the way back from the hospital.
大丈夫よ。すぐに良くなるからね。
Mom said that to me in a cheerful voice.
あ、そういえば今の大きなテレビ、あれすみれが使っていいわよ。え？いいの？
Right. Let's go on anyway. We can put it in the room. The two of them faced me with smiles. Mom in particular, who usually knocked me, was kind. Suspicious, right? I felt really sorry. But almost the same amount inside my heart, somewhere, was a feeling of relief. For a long time now I would get sharp chest pains, but they'd go away after a little while. Even when being told that it was some kind of sickness, it honestly just didn't register. More importantly, up until now I had been a shut-in. Now it was different. Because I was sick, it was okay to not be ashamed. I felt I had gained an excuse. Even I think that's a horrible way of thinking, but at the time to a child's thinking it was also the truth. At the time still, my own body seemed like someone else's problem. My current form wasn't my true form.
本当の自分の人生はまだ始まっていない。これからだ。
Well, if you say that, you might wait too long actually. The spring out of my 17th year, I was vaguely thinking that, with no evidence, no reason to believe, that's what I was thinking. From then on, I passed my day just playing games. My big brother started to give me the games he bought, way more of them than he had before. But he used to take half-finished games he had grown bored with and almost forced me to play them. Things were a bit different now. Hey, you want to play this? He'd start to at least ask me in a way. It wasn't quite kind, he became a bit distant. I think he spoke a whole lot less. Even when we passed each other in the hall at night, he stopped talking to me. He used to hand chop me on the head as he passed by. He stopped totally destroying me in the fighting games. I only had one memory card, but I didn't feel particularly constrained by it, because I deleted my data after I'd cleared the game. When I wanted to play a game again, I just started from the beginning. Even I felt it was unproductive, but even then I didn't mind. It wasn't like I was playing games because I loved them that much. More importantly, there was a new problem. It was getting harder to stay at home. Of course, it wasn't because they tell me to go to school like they used to. Even I think they were considerate since I had to keep going to hospital once a week. But there was just a slight pain in my chest at times, so as always, I barely felt like I was ill. So it was even more difficult to be at home. Having everyone be able to stand somehow, or act considerate, was more painful than not. My incessantly nagging mom, and the brother who argued with me whenever he opened his mouth. When they tried to be nice to me, it was unbearable. Residents of the park. Okay, I think that was mentioned before too. At some point I started going to this one place, the neighborhood park. Well, there was some kind of park. One near the hospital and, well, basically at the grounds of the hospital, but it was a very small one. But there was also another one. Alright, never mind. It wasn't every day, but every other day. I started to go there for about 2 hours to kill time. Before I knew it, I had been coming here for almost 2 years. I chose the park just because it was painful to constantly be at home. It could have been any other place. At first, I had also gone to the library and the waiting room at City Hall. But I learned that the park was the most relaxed, and there would be no problem if I spent hours there every day. I sat on my usual bench and flipped through the novel I took with me. I'd already read it many times, so I wasn't reading so much as just staring at it.
今日は温水さん来てないみたい。
Who? I murmured to myself while looking at an empty bench. Incidentally, Mr. Fountain was the old man who always sat on a bench on the far end of the fountain. That's just the name I gave him in my own mind. Okay.
でも、ラノベさんと花壇おばさんは来ているみたい。
Alright, I kind of understand where those nicknames might come from. Mr. Light Novel was 3 benches to the side and was a middle-aged guy who was really reading a book. I have no idea if he was really reading light novels or not. Flowerbed Grandma was always sitting in front of the flower beds. Grandma because of her age, of course. Of course, there were old names I'd given them in my own mind. I had never spoken to them. After coming here for close to 2 years, I had come to notice something. There were people who came here every day. I knew of 6 myself. Most noticeable, each one seemed to have their own position and always sat on the same bench. The times they came and went home appeared to be largely the same too. But I had never seen any of them speaking to each other. They always came alone, passed the time alone, left alone. I call these people the residents of the park.
あの人たち、何をやっているのだろう。
The same thing you do, would be my guess. Well, a bit late, that question occurred to me. I hadn't worried about it for close to 2 years, but it somehow crossed my mind. Of course, I'd never spoken to them before, and I didn't even have any desire to talk to them, so I wasn't sure. Could they be the same as me? Was it because they didn't have anywhere else to go that they spent time here? For no reason, I decided to try speaking to them. There probably wasn't any deep meaning behind it.
こんにちは。
Interesting point of view. The first words were to Miss Shiraishi, seated 5 benches beyond mine, a young woman with long hair. Incidentally, Miss Shiraishi was from the bold letters written on the bench she sat on that read Shiraishi Construction. The reason I chose her was because she seemed to be near my age. However, her long hair and sharp gothic Lolita clothing made her seem a bit aloof from the whole park.
今日はいい天気ですね。あ、いつもここに座っていますよね。
I just kept making small talk. But Miss Shiraishi just gave me a single quick glance and didn't particularly respond. Well, it wasn't as if I wanted to talk that much, and there wasn't anything in particular I want to ask if it meant being ignored. Think that, I met to return to my own bench.
遅かったわね。
Finally, she said that to me.
遅かった。
私に声をかけたことよ。
はい。
最初にあなたを見てから2年。ようやく私に声をかけたと言ってるのよ。
Well, you could have done the same, actually, but I didn't understand just what she was saying. It was true that I had been coming here for that long and hadn't spoken to anyone at that time. As I thought that, Miss Shiraishi waved to Flowerbed Grandma in the distance. When she did, Flowerbed Grandma gave a small nod. Apparently it was just like at school. I simply hadn't noticed. Apparently, even if only a little, the residents communicated with each other.
それで、ポカリちゃんは私に何の用かしら？
Who?
ポカリちゃん？
あなたのことよ。もちろん、私が勝手にそう呼んでるだけだから気にしないで。
While answering, she pointed to the bench that was my usual spot. More precisely, the drink vending machine next to the bench. So with her mind, she had been calling me Pokari-chan. Can someone explain? It feels like I've just been arbitrarily given a weird name, but I'm not really in a position to complain about that.
ようやくあなたも私に声をかけてきたってことは、つまり何か聞きたいことでもあるってことでしょ？
ええ。それほど大したことじゃないけど。
いいわよ。どうせこちらも大したこと言えないから。
On hearing that, I asked the question that came to my mind earlier. How, even by my own observations, there were 6 residents of the park.
ここに、この公園に毎日来ている人たちって、何の目的で来ているの？
さあ、 私も挨拶くらいしか話してないし。でも、特に目的があるとは思えないわ。
Apparently even Miss Shiraishi didn't know.
ちなみにさ、ポカリちゃんは何の目的でここに来ているの？
Okay, I need to Google this.
私は、時間つぶしだけど。
だったら他の人もそうでしょ。他に行き場所がないからここに来ているのよ。あなたも。そして私もね。
Oh. So basically there's Pocari Sweat. And it's a sports drink. Okay. Makes sense. Vending machine, sports drink. Makes sense. Not having anywhere else to go, the wish had just decided I was that way. I didn't want to admit it, but she was correct.
そりゃ毎日のように公園で一人ブラブラしている人間なんて、そうとしか考えられないわ。単純に暇つぶしなら、家なり図書館なりに行けばいいでしょう。
そうかもね。
ポカリちゃんは、登校拒否の引きこもりってとこかしら。
Ouch. She just hit the nail.
なぜ、そう思うの？
だってあなた、まだ小学生か中学生くらいでしょ？なのに平日の昼間からいつもここに来ているし、まともに学校行ってるようには見えないわ。
I had no clue to what extent she had deduced the situation, but everything she said was correct. However, calling me grade schooler was a mistake. I knew I looked young for my age, but even so I was 17! And while she was calling me young, she didn't look much older than a high schooler herself.
私を登校拒否だと言うなら、あなたも同じでしょ？
なんで？私今17だけど。ポカリちゃん、12、13歳くらいよね。
17よ。
まさかのため年？もしかして、ポカリさんの方が良かった？
どっちでもいいわよ。それより、私は登校拒否でも引きこもりでもないわ。
じゃあ、いわゆる家事手伝いっていうの？
違うわ。
It's true that I haven't gone to school for years. I haven't even advanced to high school. I just spent most of my time in my room playing games. And of course I wasn't working, but...
私は、病人なのよ。
Yeah, that was the truth. Even if I was just getting checkups once a week. Even if I wasn't really aware of being sick. That's why I'm not a shut-in. A proper reason exists for me. I'm this way right now, but someday my true life will start. I'm just passing time right now. I'm not like her or anyone else. I'm normal. That's what I had thought.
私も病気よ、ポカリちゃん。
え？
っていうか、おそらくここの人たちは全員そうよ。あなたも同じ。
The response that came back was something completely unexpected, and for some reason I wanted to deny the words. The same.
違うわ。私は、もう5年も病院に通っているのよ。
そう？私は入院して7年目よ。あのね、ポカリちゃん。ここの人たちはみんな病人なのよ。体の病か、心の病かの違いはあってもね。
じゃあ、白石さんはどっち？
白石？
She gave me a puzzled look and I pointed to her bench. There, in large type Shiraishi construction, was written.
なるほど。私、あなたの中ではそう呼ばれてたのね。
She didn't seem particularly upset by it. I think she appeared to think about my previous question a bit.
どっちかというと、私は後者。心の病かもしれないわね。ポカリ。
私は、両方かもしれない。
I didn't want to click there, sorry!
ったらあなたの方が長生きできそうにないわね。
はい。
気にしないで。おそらく大差ないから死ぬの。
She answered cheerfully. In my case, I still wasn't aware of death. I had actually been thinking vaguely of bright futures, and this person did it so easily.
まあ、そんなわけで、最初に受けた質問。何の目的でここに来ているかだけど、他に行き場所がないからよ。みんな病んでいるからね。これでいい？
I gave a somewhat vague reply. It was because the word everyone included myself. Either way, this Miss Shiraishi was a hard-to-understand person. Going by appearance, she had a calm, closed-mouth sort of image, and yet when I actually spoke to her, she was surprisingly cheerful and lively. Important than anything, she spoke a lot.
ポカリちゃん、言っておくけど、普段の私は誰とも会話なんてしないから。
She spoke as if she knew what I had been thinking.
でも、あなたというか、ここの人たちだけは例外。気兼ねなく話せるの。
どうして？
だってあなたたち、そこまで長生きできるとは思えないからね。少なくとも、私より先に死ぬでしょ？
Ouch! It was the same thing she said just before. But even if that were true, I didn't think it had anything to do with talking without reservations.
私はね、人と関わりを持つのが嫌なのよ。もっと具体的に言うと、誰にも借りも貸しも作りたくないの。
You know what? Sounds like Akari.
借りと貸し？
目の閉じた世界を選んだ以上はね。
That's definitely her. She started saying things I didn't understand. For some reason, it was the only time she seemed a bit lonely.
ねえ、白石さん。それって、どういう意味なの？
気にしないで。ポカリちゃんには関係ないことだから。それじゃ。
ちょっと。
Apparently, not hearing my voice, Miss Shiraishi energetically ran off. She said she had been in a hospital for 7 years, but was it true? Her cheerful tone of voice and her constant hugging wink made it hard to decide if that had been a joke. But this might have just been the longest I'd ever spoken to anyone. Murmuring that, I got up from the bench and left the park. You fucking cicadas! Blazing sunlight and the cries of cicadas. I had nothing to do again today, so I headed to the park. I only just realized I'd come here 10 days in a row. I never came here so often before. And then, I have to think hard to know the reason, only for I now had someone to talk to.
おはよう、ポカリちゃん。今日は早いわね。
ゲームにも飽きたから。
何あんた、いつもゲームばっかりやってるの？たまには本も読んだ方がいいわよ。
Listen, it's not like I dislike books. I like books, but I like my games better.
じゃあ、白石さんは普段何してるの？
寝てるわ。
That's definitely Akari.
寝てるって、ずっと
10年ほどね。しかも仮病でよ。私すごくない？
それ、本当なの？
もしくは、死に至る病で、余命幾ばくもない重病ね。あなたはどっちがいい？嘘よ、嘘！
嘘って、どっちのこと？仮病？それとも、重病人？
Second one.
さあね。
I believe.
あなたのお好きな方でどうぞ。
As As always, I didn't really get her. It's not like she'd say super interesting things, but occasionally she'd say mysterious things that would make your heart skip.
それよりポカリちゃんも5年くらい通院してるのよね。何の病気？
病名は知らない。血液に関係あるらしいけど。
ああ、そりゃ長生きできないわ。未来はないも同然ね。ご愁傷様。
なんで決めつけなのよ。
そりゃ私、時間だけはあったからね。本を読むのも好きだし、こう見えて博識よ。
あんまり、そんな風には見えないわ。
まあ、それでも、今の私にあるのは後悔だ。たとえあなたより長生きしても、すでに生きているとは言えないわ。今も、未来も。
As Miss Hiroshi said that, she stood up from the bench. Waving her hand bye-bye, she quickly walked off. As always, she had kept her own pace. After saying whatever she wanted to say, she rushed off. Nights, when the whole family had fallen asleep, not having anything to do, I played games in my room like always. 10 minutes to 4 AM over here. So yeah, same here. A very large TV screen displayed on it was the usual RPG I played. Well, not really large TV screen because random monitor and a freaking visual novel over here. Kinetic novel actually. I've chosen my usual character, a priest, a healer, basically an exotic type that can heal. There was only one reason, I was playing alone. This game was basically designed to be played in parties. I never had such people. Oh, at first I played offensive classes, but usually I'd progress to a certain point and then get stuck. I realized that soloing past a certain point wasn't possible. Going solo to yeah. Whatever, that was shy, oh my god. That was why, somewhat reluctantly, I switched to healer. Despite being a healer, I'd raised my level a ridiculous amount and just barely managed to proceed. But I had the time. Another way to put it, I had nothing but time. I became a high-level fighting priest, unrivaled by another player. I was an expert at healing times, where most enemies were fine.
病人のくせに、何の皮肉だろう。
I couldn't help but mutter that. But I had nothing to do other than games. Today was another clear summer day. As usual, I passed the time at the park, myself. And Miss Hiroshi. With nothing in particular to do, I sat in days on a bench. With no particular purpose, I just passed time here. I really couldn't really say that I was living. Miss Hiroshi had said that, and that certainly seemed to be the case. However, having myself included in that statement annoyed me.
白石さん、一つだけ言っておくけど、私はあなたとは違うわよ。
違うとは？
今は無意味に時間を過ごしているだけ。でも、いつかは。
いつかは？いつかって何？
それは。
It was a question I hadn't imagined.
いつか、その時が来ると、生まれ変わるとでも言うの？まだあなたの人生は始まっていないとでも？どうやらポカリちゃんは子供だったみたいね。ポカリだけに甘いわ。
うるさいわね。
いいえ、あなたはまだ生きてもいないの。わかる？今この瞬間も夢見心地なの。自分のことなのに他人事、すべて現実ってことを認めてないのよ。ポカリちゃんは近いうちに死ぬの。その瞬間まで、いつか、と思っていたらいいわ。
As she continued to speak, I lost my words. More precisely, I couldn't find the right words to respond. It could be that even I had realized the truth. That was why the words that came out of my mouth.
あなた、ほんとよく喋るわね。 誰とも話さないんでしょ？
I couldn't just say things, it sounded like I was a sore loser.
だってポカリちゃんは例外だもん。前にも言ったでしょ？長生きできないあなたには借りも貸しも関係ないの。
その貸し借りって何なのよ？
私のルールよ。そしてあなたはそれに抵触しないから気兼ねなく話もできるの。まあでも私もそろそろいい頃合いかもね。
頃合いとは？
目の閉じた世界に行くって意味よ。本当の意味でね。
本当の？もしかしてあなた、死ぬつもり？ポカリちゃんより先にとは考えてなかったけど。例外の人間が増えると面倒だからね。今のうちに死ぬわ。 白石さん？
はい、ストップ。あなたは何も言わなくていいの。もし何か言っても、あなたに借りはないし、聞くつもりもないけどね。
With those final words, she stood up from the bench, and she never made to turn around.
同じ17歳で、どちらも長い引きこもり歴を持つ私たち。きっと彼女は現実から目を閉じることを選んだのだろう。そして私は最初から現実を見ていないと指摘された。最初から生きていないとも言われた。そしていつか後悔するだろうとも言われた。
Yep, pretty much might be true. Anyway, that was a really long first chapter. I totally did not understand. Almost 4 a.m. I'm already losing my words. I totally did not expect that, to be honest. I thought maybe I will be able to record 2 episodes of 2 chapters, but no, 4 a.m. so I'm hitting the bed. Good thing I don't have to wake up to work tomorrow. Oh man, it would be a killer for me. Anyway, the 2 last ones, chapter 1 finished. Hope you enjoyed it, and tomorrow, I believe, hopefully, we will be going together through chapter 2, Residents of the Park. So for now, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll continue Sumire's story very soon. Bye bye. Well, tomorrow basically. See you then.